Have you wanted to start working with medicinal herbs but have been a little afraid because you're not sure what you're doing? This is exactly what we teach in our Herb Share program here at the co-op, but today what I want to do is teach you the beginning basics of how to steep herbal tea properly. And it doesn't mean there's a right and a wrong way, but there is a way you can get more medicinal benefits extracted than others. So let's talk about that. I'm going to talk about different things to use for infusing, even different cups and containers, and then we'll talk about how long to actually go and infuse your herbs. So what exactly is this process we're talking about? Yes, it's an infusion. So the reason that we want to do this, and the reason we take herbs, medicinal herbs, and we make a tea or do something with it is because they need an extraction process. Most of them do really well if you have some sort of extraction process of heat, or you could use another material to extract the medicinal properties from the plant material into your water or liquid that you're using. So this process is a tisane, but you don't have to know all those fancy things. Just know this is the best way to start making a good cup of herb tea that you can actually get all the benefits from. So hang tight at the end there. We'll talk about how long, but let's talk about what we're using to infuse first. So first, we're making a cup of tea, right? And you have your cup and you have your hot water. You're ready to go. Let's talk about the difference between cups, because it does make a difference. So you can use a really tall, skinny cup when you want your hot tea, by the time you're done steeping it, to stay hot. And you want all that heat in there. It's going to stay warmer longer if you have a tall, skinny cup. If you use a cup that's more wide like this, it will cool off faster. And sometimes that's what you want. You may want in the summer to have something a little more cooling and refreshing. And we'll talk about proportions and how to make it iced too. So your type of cup that you're steeping in is going to really matter. Yes, you can also steep it in a pot, and that's great too. Just remember, what we mean by steeping is you're going to be pouring your water and covering it. But first, if the herbs go in, how do we get them back out without drinking a mouthful of lavender flowers or, leaves and sticks and twigs, right? So there's lots of different things you can use to infuse or scoop it back out. A tea infuser is basically what it's called. So this is a basic standard tea infuser, and I like this because it literally helps you to just scoop your loose leaf tea into this container, and this is about a cup of tea worth. Kind of measures it more or less into 2 teaspoons, and that's really helpful for serving. So why are we bothering doing it this way when so many of your herbal teas will come already pre-made in those little packets that you just plop in your water, right? So a lot of those packets contain pesticides, herbicides, and even microplastics. A lot of them have things in there you don't want, especially if you're doing herbs for medicine and you're trying to clear something in your body or heal your body or address something. You don't need to be adding anything else that's going to tax your body further. So this is why I prefer loose leaf tea, and this is why I use a different type of infuser and do it this way. So this is one type, and make sure it's stainless steel. Sometimes these will come in silicone. That's great too. I've even seen bamboo. So the natural fibers are what you're looking for. You can also do an organic cotton bag. I prefer organic cotton. Again, you don't need pesticides, and also nothing with a color. See how this is completely unbleached and natural cotton? You can put whatever amount in there, and then you'll put it in the water, and then you'll cover it for steeping. So this is very helpful because these little guys are reusable over and over, and I literally will take it and I'll put it inside out to get all my herbs out. Then I rinse it and I put it in my dishwasher right on one of the little pegs. Washes easily, or throw it in the laundry. but you can reuse these over and over, and that's really gonna save you some money down the road. Here's another one of my favorites, and this one is the winner for me by far. So this is a really good solid stainless steel cup infuser. So this will go into any size cup. It fits most all mason jar mouths, a lot of the wider teapot mouths. And here's the thing, it'll fit perfectly in most size cups. You can also use it in the really big ones, as long as you're not filling them all the way full, because this is so much, you won't want all that liquid, and it still works really well. Why do I like this so much? A couple reasons. Why? These are hardy stainless steel. So I've had one of these for over 10 years and it just still keeps going. It's amazing. But the other reason is I can make a cup of tea, 2 cups of tea, or an entire pot of tea with the same tea infuser, and I don't have to have several different sizes in my cupboard. So I really like this. This is one we sell here at the co-op, and it's probably our #1 seller for that reason. It lasts the longest and you can use it for everything, right? So the idea is you're gonna put your herb into your tea infuser, whichever one that you choose. And I'm gonna put this right in here. So this is lavender flower. Let's talk about how much we're using, and we'll talk about how long we're steeping. So we're gonna use the flower. Lavender is pretty common, and so typically I would measure this, but I've done this so much I know the measurement really well. Typically, as you can see how much I've put in here, typically for a 1 single cup, which is about 12 to 16 ounces of hot water, this is what it's gonna look like. I have about this much. It's 2 to 3 teaspoons. For flowers, it's gonna depend on how strong you like your tea, and it's gonna depend on what you're looking for from it as to how much you put in there. I like mine a little on the strong side, so I use a tablespoon for 16 ounces of hot water. These are my proportions that I'm using. So if I were to do something a little hardier, like a root or a bark, maybe a hard berry, that I would do less of. You don't need as much. So I'm just gonna use my bag here for this one. This is dandelion root, and I'm gonna use about 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons. Again, I like mine a little strong, so that's what I like and I prefer. But I'm gonna put my herbs in here, and this is about 2 teaspoons. I like mine strong. And I'm gonna put it in the larger cup like this. So the strings are hanging out to the side and the bag is there. Now, all that's left to do is to pour your hot water. Notice that I am not boiling my herbs in the water. I'm pouring hot water over them. There are a handful of herbs, and it's appropriate when you're going to boil it in the water, but we're just talking about, in general, most of your herbs, your flowers, your leaves. This is what we're doing, is you're going to take your kettle of hot water and you're going to then pour it. So this one, remember, has our little cup. So again, it's all about what your preference is for how strong you want it and what it is you're addressing. So I have not filled this all the way because that would be a little full. I've got it to about there. That's about 16 ounces of hot water. See the steam coming up off of this? So to steep it, this means cover it and let it sit on the counter. The reason we're covering it is because all of this steam has a lot of medicinal volatiles in it that you actually want in your tea. You don't want to lose those. And this makes it stronger this way. So I'm now going to let my lavender sit and steep. But what about my dandelion? So if my dandelion, notice I have the wide cup, so it's going to be a little bit cooler, and I'm going to pour this over the bag again. Some herbs require a little more heat and some less heat. And there is a difference, but I'm again talking about generalities. And most herbs, you can do it this way, where you have your hot water and then you've got your tea, right? So now I'm gonna put my saucer over this. Notice how I have my little ties here so that I can easily pull it out when it's done steeping. So let's talk about that. When is it done steeping, and how do we know how long to let it steep? This is where people get it wrong so often, and I want to make sure that you're getting what you really want out of these medicinal herbs. If you don't steep it long enough, you're just not going to pull the medicine that you want from them. So it's important that you steep it long enough. How long is that? I'm going to talk generalities because otherwise I would be here for a while talking about the thousands and thousands of herbs and each individual herb. So in general, when it comes to flowers, you're going to steep them a little less. And they're generally good at 10 to 15 minutes. There are some exceptions, obviously, and I'm only going to mention this one because it's very common, and that's chamomile. Chamomile's about a 5-minute steep, 5 to 7. The reason is if you go longer, it's more bitter, and it doesn't take much to extract the medicine from it. Flowers are a little more dainty and delicate. They don't take as much extraction, which is really nice. Leaves, in general, take a little bit longer. They need a little bit more to extract leaves. So leaves and stems are generally going to be about 20 minutes. So 20 minutes is going to get you the extraction that you want from the medicine in the herb into your liquid. Let's talk about roots and barks and berries. They are much heavier, much more dense, and generally speaking, they give more punch, so you take less of them. In general, you're gonna have about 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons of your barks and berries and roots, compared to 2 to 3 teaspoons of your flowers and leaves for a general 1 cup, 12 to 16 ounce cup of water. So for dandelion, or for roots and barks and berries, I prefer mine in the 20 to 30 minute range. I usually go just a little bit longer because they can handle it, and sometimes they require that extra extraction to make sure you've really gotten what you need from it in there. So this will help you a little bit to understand, first of all, your cup, different tea infusers, and the difference between your flowers, your leaves, and your roots, barks, and berries. Again, this is generalities. There are some exceptions, yes, and that's why we have our medicinal herb share program here at the co-op, and you can actually get on board and learn that. That is a 12-month program that you go 1 month at a time, self-paced. You can get all our PDF files and buy the entire program for the year up front, and that'll have all the info on it with videos and all of the PDF files that are very, very full. Or you can come in person, pick up the ingredients, all the herbs, and the equipment that you need to do everything. But this is why we do it, so we can go further and talk about things like, for example, ashwagandha root. Did you know when you're steeping your ashwagandha root that 20 to 30 minutes, it needs a fat to go with it. So there's a couple of little things like that that'll really help you, and these are the things we go further. But I really wanted to give you some basics so that you can start. Dive in and make sure you're steeping the right time to really pull out the medicine that you're looking for. So I hope this really helps, because like I always say, natural healing is totally doable. Thanks, guys.